You look like you're a robot that got stuck. How do I do? How do I do?
I am a robot. We're all just skeletons flying this meat wagon, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
No, why? Trying to make the screen different from how it used to be, but okay. There we go. I figured it out.
There you go. I was like, where's our technical support? Oh, you are a technical support.
Yeah, it's probably not a good thing I'm a technical sport, huh? Little little guy grew up in the mountains, no internet. Yeah, it's real good.
Right? But you're learning. We're learning.
That's it. We're all just learning every day.
Absolutely. It's a journey of growth, a journey of learning, man.
The power of our minds is what we think we create into the world.
Absolutely. Well, we were just talking about that before we got on, right? Is that we have choice each day to kind of co-create our reality. Obviously, I believe there's a divine plan for everyone and everything, but at the end of the day, you get to make small incremental choices that will lead you to the life you want. And it doesn't have to be what everybody else says it should be. That doesn't have to fall in line with any, programming you've been given. You can literally choose each day to create the life of your dreams. You just have to make small incremental choices that over time add up and lead you to that place. And like we were saying, is like what we're telling ourselves all day, every day is what ultimately the subconscious mind is taking in as reality and is going to take you to that end result. And so, like I tell people, so only speak what you want and only focus on what you want. You're going to get that life eventually, but it may not come overnight. But you have to be consistent and persistent, and before you know it, life out here will catch up to what you're thinking every day.
And on the flip side of that, if you're focusing on things that you don't want, then they will
You'll
continue to manifest themselves in your life.
absolutely you'll receive it because that's well, what neuroscience has shown is that your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's not, right? That's why they've done the studies like having people that go play a piano. They have 10 people play a piano for, so many days straight. And then they have those same 10 people not play the piano, but visualize themselves playing the piano for so many days straight and still get the same results or similar results because the subconscious mind still saw that they were doing that and took it as reality, even though they weren't physically doing the act. So that's the power of the subconscious mind is it works off of images or continued repetition, right? So if you sit and visualize something over and over and over, you're going to get it. If you speak something out over and over and over, you're going to get it. So only see in your mind what you want, only speak what you want, focus on what you want, give your energy to that, and you will get those things eventually.
Yeah, you mentioned programming, and it just makes me. It's kind of like a reminder. Like even if you find something new, you have to be able to discern: is that a level of programming that's like, oh, here's this message of good and positivity, but you have to do certain things. And it's like
Hmm.
how many almost everything in life is designed to control you in some way
Yeah. Well, and like you
or to
just
put
said,
thoughts in your head.
it does it resonate with you? What I say is when I listen to other folks' podcasts or read books, um, I will use discernment in does it sit well with my soul when I hear it, or does it actually like kind of turn me off? If it turns me off, it's because it's like that's coming from maybe their own opinion, right? And like I tell people, everybody has an opinion. It's just like when I had said this the other day to somebody, I'm like, so you read a book and they say this is the best way to parent, or this is the best way to have a successful relationship. That's not going to be equal across the board because we're all different souls on our own journeys, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out what works for you and then say like in parenting you're parenting different souls. Well, then how do you parent this soul different from that soul? You can't parent them across the board because you have to kind of figure out what it is that's different about them. Or like in a relationship, you have to figure out, okay, do I flow well with this other soul can we figure out and come into alignment, or are we constantly like battling because we just have completely different ways of what works for us in life? So there is no one set way or path that says, hey, do this, other than what I see across the board from teachers in the past all the way to now is what you focus on is what you get, right? So if you're focusing on positivity, you're focusing on the things you want, you're going to eventually get to that space. It may not look exactly how you visualize it or how you continue to repeat it, but you will get something similar to that. Same thing, like you said, if it's the things you don't want, which a lot of people are in a loop of negativity and just like, things that they don't want to have happen, oftentimes you will get versions of it. You may not get the exact thing, but you'll get versions of it because that's what you're repeating in your head over and over and over, whether it's via words or thoughts or pictures. And that's kind of why do people use vision boards, right? Like it's so you can look at the thing you actually want over and over and over. And there's been countless stories of people saying, I want a house that looks like this. And sometimes people will get a house that looks damn near exactly that or very similar because they've just every day repeated that picture in their head, right? And so it's just the power of our mind. I mean, our mind is extremely powerful, and that's why, like we talked about earlier, Wayne Dyer said, once you realize how powerful your thoughts are, you become very careful about what you think about each day. And that's why I'm always like checking myself when my mind's wandering onto something that I don't want. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. I replace it with something I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny because sometimes like for me, sometimes I forget that. So like what we talked about earlier, like it's like, man, I just need quiet. And then bam, my internet was out for almost 24 hours.
Yeah, we can talk about that. We had that discussion yesterday, and I was like, hey, take this time. Your family's not there. You can go within and kind of have that quiet time. And then you spoke out that you needed the quiet, and God's like, cool, your family's not here. You're not doing your job right now, and your internet went out. So guess what you have? Quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you manifested that instantly, right? And that's amazing. That's the power that we do have. And especially like I said earlier, I believe it's in if it's in divine alignment with what your soul's journey is, your soul is here for, you're going to even quicker see those things come to fruition because God's like, yeah, that's what I need you to do. I need you to experience this right now so you can continue to elevate up, and then I can elevate your overall life as a whole, right? But that's why oftentimes people will be like, well, yeah, I've been visualizing a Porsche, every day for a year and I haven't received it. Probably because that's not in alignment with what you're here for, you know? You're not going to get all these material things that you want if it's not in alignment with what you're actually here for, you know?
Well, yeah,
Especially like that.
that's kind of what I have been feeling is like all these material things don't matter. Like, yeah, you can manifest it, but at the same time, if that's all you're focusing on, you're not going to be happy.
Absolutely. Yep. I realize that, like I told you, I've said it before on our podcast, like, thankfully over the years I've been able to experience receiving all these material things and I'm always grateful for them, but I see how quickly like the shininess of the new thing just loses excitement. Like I lose excitement for it, right? And I'm like, okay, so that didn't actually bring me joy. So I feel like for me, what brings me joy is the things that I really find important in life, which is loving others, serving others, helping impact others' lives, right? Like that stuff brings me lasting joy. Like I had a client call me from when I had my business in the Valley years ago, and she called me the other day, and she's like, "I still think about you all the time. I still do the practices you told me, all these different things." And I'm like, "See, that's the lasting joy for me. That's like when I hear stuff like that, that's a natural high that I get way more than if I get a material thing that comes from it, because I was able to impact somebody that's long lasting, right?" And so that's what I tell people. There's nothing wrong with receiving material things, but if that's your main focus, you're gonna get that thing and you're gonna be like, now I want another one. Now I want another one. Now I want another one because it's never good enough. It's like Wayne Dyer says, the disease of more, he used to say, right? The disease of more. You'll always get things, someone will be like, I want $5 million in the bank. Cool. Now how do I get to 10? And then it's just a constant like that mountain you're climbing never ends. But if you can receive things and be like, great, this is amazing. Like, what can I do with this to go help others and make an impact? That's way more lasting than it is just receiving things, you know?
Well, I think ultimately, that's what I think all of us are here to do. But there's some people that are more in tune to it for whatever reason. But we're here to wake people up and be like, hey, your programming has to be undone for you to succeed truly.
Absolutely.
Like something I've been learning over the last few days is it's all within yourself.
Hmm.
What I didn't realize what I was doing is seeking external validation, but I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this is cool. And then it's like, you're right there, but like God is within all of us. So all of the things that you want or have or need are already within you. So like you
Yep.
said, like, but if you use, like, we all have a power. So if you use that power for things that aren't very genuine, like, oh, I want a Porsche, or oh, I want all the money in the world, like that's great, but is that actually fulfilling you, or is that serving the purpose you were put here for?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like, like if we get on the topic of money, like, what I feel like with money is I tell people, like, if you already have a heart that's like, man, I want to serve, I want to go help, and you receive more and more wealth, well, what are you going to use it for? You're going to use it to make a difference and to serve, right? And that's great. If you have a heart of greed and you get more and more money, you're just going to be more and more greedy and you're going to be more and more worried about that money staying in your possession, right? And
Yeah.
so that's why I tell people there's nothing wrong with money, but what do you really want to use it for? Do you want to use it to go make a difference and make an impact? Then great. It gives you freedom of choice, right? I think about like, okay, for me, the more wealth I receive, I want to open healing centers all over the world. So my thought is go buy healing centers and be able to own them outright, right? And then for a very affordable cost, if not for pay what you can, I get to serve people each day and have a great teams of people that are there helping me serve people to make and impact lives to be better, right? So what do you want to use the wealth for? Like, what is it that you really want to use it for? Um, so that's why I say overall, there's nothing wrong with receiving things. It's just what is your purpose for it? What do you want to do with it? You know, not just for your own gain. I mean, I believe you're giving things divinely so that you can go out and make a greater impact.
Yeah. And also kind of like killing that pride and ego and surrendering to what you're truly here for.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which is hard. It's hard to try to even understand that sometimes because we've been so programmed to survive. Like, oh, like this happened, that happened. Oh, now I don't know what's happening. And then it makes me think of, well, the world might be doing one thing, but you should stay on track to what you're here for.
That's the
Yeah.
thing, right? We were just talking about that earlier. Is that not a happy, joyful life is not the same for everybody. So for some, like that picture of the spouse, the kids, the white picket fence, like that's what they've tried to sell people on. And it's like, what if that's not actually joy for you? What if a joy is like, yeah, you may have a place to land, which could be a friend's house, it could be family's houses, but yet you're like, you know what? I want to travel the world and just be all over the place, making impact everywhere I go, and I'm really not worried about just owning this home and having the partnership and having whatever. It's like it's not the same for everybody across the board, right? So that's why I tell people go within. Again, like you said, the answers are within. Really take time each day to go within yourself and realize like what is it that really is going to bring me happiness and joy? Is it what I've been told is going to bring me happiness and joy, or is it what I feel internally? Because internally, what your soul came to this planet in human form with the things that will actually bring you joy. You just have to figure out what that is. So get out of that survival state. Stop looking for a job and trying to buy a home and trying to find the right partner, and actually just go within, work on yourself, do the things that bring you joy. And if you're intended to have these things, they're going to show up. It's like they say, the more in tune to spirit that you become a magnet for all the things that are supposed to be in your life, right? If you're on a hunt all the time and you're chasing things, you might get things, but oftentimes it's going to be things that don't actually bring you joy. They're actually the opposite because you're hunting for these things. Because, like you said, you're looking externally for validation, for happiness, when all of that lives inside of you, right? And you can be in that state all the time, and you can figure out what does bring you joy. Go do that, and then you'll receive everything that you ever wanted. Oftentimes, even more. That's why they say like God knows your heart greater than you do, because it's like you may think you want this, and God's like, I'm going to give you this. You have no clue. Just let me do it, right? Which kind of leads to what we talked about earlier: surrender. Live in a state of surrender. So you can put your visions out there, your desires out there, and say, God, this is what I desire to do in the world, and then leave it to God and be like, you show me. when and how that's all going to come to fruition, if it's even that. And if it's not in divine alignment with what I'm here for, then go ahead and show me what I am here for. That's something I repeat to God all the time. Like you see my heart, my visions, but if that's not in alignment with like thy will, right? Then I'm like, go ahead and just show me what it is you want me to do.
Yeah, that's what I
And
do a lot more lately is I'll be like, I surrender to your will. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Just because it's kind of like it can sound confusing maybe if you're like, oh, I want these things, but then God's like, I'll give and take what is or is not for you. And as humans, we struggle with that sometimes.
yeah, because I believe we'll always have exactly what we need, right? We may not always have exactly what we want, but we'll always have exactly what we need for that time. And everything's in the present moment. That's the other thing that's been a huge revelation for me has been, you know, everything that's ever happened to you has only happened in the present moment. So people live in their past story, and I'm like, you know that that happened at that present moment, right? It doesn't exist now. So we're always carrying our past story into our present, and I'm like, it's actually non-existent right now. Right now in this moment, if you look at your life and you look at where you are, like, oh, everything's okay. Cool. So that stuff that you're carrying, that baggage you're carrying from your past, has no weight on the present moment. So why are you living in it, right? Even your future visions for a life that you want doesn't actually exist in the present moment. That's okay. You can put that vision out there. Hey, God, if that's for me, bring it to me. But right now, I'm really grateful for where I'm at. Like everything's perfect right now.
Dude, that's literally what I was talking with my brother yesterday, and he's talking about something, and I was like, yeah, the past doesn't exist anymore. It's over. The future doesn't even exist. The only time that matters is right now.
That's all we have. That is all we have. And that's what I tell people all the time. It's really hard. It seems really hard for people to, it's not hard, but it seems hard for people to live in the present moment. But at the end of the day, it's really not that hard because the present moment is all we got. So if you learn to live in it and stay in it, like you realize it's wonderful. Everything's great right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. I want to touch back on the power of our minds. So how can I mean I know the answer, but for people that are watching, I mean, we talked about this before where you can meditate, journal. One other thing that came up for me is the number 4
Hmm.
and what I was telling you about. And when I researched it, it says, uh, I used to say, oh, we live on 3 planes of existence at all times, mental, spiritual, physical.
Hmm.
But there's those 3, and then there's number 4, which is also emotional. And I think a lot of times our emotional aspect of ourselves can interfere with other aspects like, oh, I want to get in shape, but I'm depressed, so I don't want to work out. Or I want to go within, but you have that little voice in your head that's like, no, just be lazy and watch TV.
Hmm.
But what would your advice be for people to even try to awaken themselves to get to that point of at least acknowledging you're more powerful than what we've been led to believe?
I think when it comes to that, they talk about your emotional IQ. So we have the ability to decide how long we sit in an emotion, right? So, and also if we're going to let that emotion run us. I think it's very healthy and great to feel every emotion, but I don't think it's a great thing to allow that emotion to run you much longer than it needs to. So, like you're saying, a person's like, "Hey, I want to get healthier, but I feel depressed." Okay, so you want to get healthier, so you're feeling kind of depressed. Well, what's going to help you is getting off the couch and going into movement. So, right, you go take a walk. Start with a walk. You go to a gym and walk on a treadmill. You go and move a little bit of weight. You take that small step. Well, what is that going to do? That's that, like I told you, the incremental decisions, right? So in the moment, yeah, I kind of feel down, but I know I can make this decision to go move my body, which in turn, over time, with all of those incremental decisions adding up over days, weeks, months, and years, you're going to see your health improve. You're going to see your life improve, right? So don't allow the emotion to control your current moment of making the decision that you know is going to improve your life. We all inherently know what's going to make life better. But the other thing is, what happens is we're so, again, programmed to go toward instant gratification. I feel down, I'm going to do something to distract, right? So I feel down, I'm going to get on my phone and scroll on social media. I'm going to binge watch TV. I'm going to overeat. I'm going to go find a person to keep me distracted. Instead of saying, okay, all of those things are very temporary dopamine hits. What can I do that may not give me that instant satisfaction, but it's going to over time and over continuous discipline of it is going to bring me long-term happiness, right? So if you choose like I'm feeling depressed, but you know what, I'm gonna get up and move. Automatically you're releasing happy chemicals to the brain that are gonna make your depression that's gonna help your depression diminish, right? And then you just got a small win. Like I went and moved my body. Great. Now you add to that. So tomorrow you do the same thing. The next day you do the same thing. Before you know it, you have weeks and months built up of doing these positive things that are leading you toward the life you want. Again, you're not going to see it happen right away, but if you're willing to withstand like the time it takes to get there, because in the whole thing is like I always say, our timeline doesn't equal to God's timeline, right? Like you're going to receive the life you want, but it's not always going to happen in the time frame you think. Like you may not hit your greatest version of life or successes until you're 60 years old. That's okay. But if you are becoming a better and better version of you, by the time you get there and you receive these things, you're like, oh my gosh, who did I become in that journey? Right? So it comes back just with emotions, you got to have control over emotions, just like you have to have control over thought, right? When you're receiving thoughts that are trying to defeat you, how can you replace it? And then what action can you take to move forward beyond it?
Yeah, I think that's a good message because what I've found is most of the time you could have all these thoughts running in your head, but as soon as you take the action to do the thing that you want to do, it just kind of has a way of falling into place. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
all those things I was thinking don't matter.
exactly. And it's the small wins that add up, right? So, like you said, you're in that moment, you're feeling down, you make a decision to do something that's actually going to, again, maybe not bring you this great dopamine hit, but at the same time, like going back to the example of moving your body, that is going to give you a dopamine hit because you do release those happy chemicals when you go move your body. So you're like, hey, I just made a decision that's going to move me forward, right? That's then you add to that decision again the next day. Now all of a sudden you have several days of those decisions that are leading you to the life you want, right? Now that's just being disciplined and consistent, and you watch all of your life change. It's for the, like I tell people, you want to have a life of your dreams, you better be ready to buckle in for the long game because if it may happen. There's definitely things that can happen overnight. You can manifest miracles every moment, but you're gonna have to just continue on when things aren't showing you the fruit of your labors because you know for a fact that if you continue those habits and those things that are moving you in the direction you want to go, that fruit's going to manifest, right? Again, it's just not in your time frame. So that's the thing I've learned is like if I just incrementally keep making these decisions that I know are helping me and moving me toward the place I want to be, I'm gonna wake up one day and be like, holy crap, my life has changed. I mean, I think about for myself in this last year, going internally and really just finding the things that were leading me to the same behaviors, the same habits, the same things, and the same outcomes. I'm like, now what do I got to do to change those? So I learned how to release the negative feelings, like you were saying. Like I allowed myself to feel the feelings, which at times felt really horrible, but by allowing them to come through me and go away, and I still made good decisions in those moments, it's added up to a whole better life in just 1 year, right? So I
Yeah,
mean,
it's being
if
able to
you
sit with it.
absolutely, I think it was David Hawkins that said he goes, if you can sit with an emotion for 15 minutes, no matter what it is, even if it's a miserable emotion, and you can just sit with it, let it come through your body, don't do anything to distract. So basically, it's like a form of meditation, right? Just sit there in silence and don't do anything to distract that emotion, even if it feels completely horrible. Let it come through you. All it's trying to do is leave your body, right? So you let it come through, you let it leave, you move forward, and you're like, all right, that went away. Now I'm going to get up and do something that's going to be of benefit to me, right? But I think what our natural human inclination to do is like, I feel uncomfortable. What can I do to immediately get rid of this discomfort? And that doesn't help us at all because then you start making decisions every time you have a uncomfortable feeling. You make decisions to block that feeling, and now you're storing it inside your body, and eventually it's going to manifest anyway.
Hmm.
So why not each day take time to sit with how you feel, And you brought up meditation. The thing I've also learned with meditation is it's not, you're not meditating for an outcome. You're meditating because you know at the end of the day, if you just again incrementally do that every day, you're finding that quiet space inside. You feel whatever you feel in the meditation. You're not doing it for an outcome. You're not like, I'm meditating to become more spiritual. I'm meditating to manifest this thing. I'm actually just meditating because I know it's good for me mentally, physically, and spiritually to sit in this quiet space to align myself and then go forward with your day, right? It's like, you come out of your meditation, consistently meditating should make you be more patient over time, should make you feel more peaceful over time. And then in turn, you just become more aligned. And then the things that you were hoping for will start to show up because you're in alignment with your soul, right? You're out of the mind, you're into the heart.
Well, I thought of an interesting question. So let's say, you identify the power within yourself, right? There's been a lot of people who talk about, like Jordan Peterson, he used to say, make yourself a controlled monster, right? Like be able to do things that need to be done to protect those that you love, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, like we talked about, like I was like, oh, I need a break. And then the government shutdown happened. And then, oh, I need quietness. And then my internet went out. How do we discern when we find that inner power, how to not allow it to bleed or allow pride to bleed into it? That's a deep question.
Well, I think what I learned with that, and Ram Dass was a big teacher of this, he said you have to be careful of spiritual ego, right? So you start to become good at manifesting things. You start to be good at understanding things on a deeper level. You still never understand everything. So don't allow it to bring you to a space of, hey, I know everything, because you don't, you know? And I definitely have had those times where I'm like, I know this and I know that, but yeah, guess what? I still don't know half of anything, right? So I'm just barely figuring out small little incremental steps as I go on this journey that are helping my life be better, but I definitely don't know everything, right? And so I think that from what you were asking is basically is just like, you start to have these things happen and you're like, oh, look at me, I'm powerful. Yeah, you are powerful. You are powerful, but be humbly powerful, right? Like, you are a powerful creator, but you need to understand like humility will bring even greater things too. So I think it's just I think and kind of from like the way Ram Dass explained it is like everybody goes through that as you start to become more and more like enlightened, I guess you can say, or awakened. The spiritual ego will always try to come in and be like, look at me now, look at where I'm at. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Just be humble, be grateful that you're there, right? Like I can look at things now and be like, I'm grateful I see life the way I do now. I'm grateful that I see things a little bit deeper than I did before, right? I can look back at how I lived life before and how I saw life before and be like, wow, I was living in a state of stress and survival for so long and trying to control external circumstances where now I'm like, I don't need to control any of that. I humbly am grateful that I get to just release and let God lead me. And my only control is in my daily decisions, right? Um, and so it's just always kind of humbling yourself and realizing like, I don't know. It's just like you and I've talked about. You said, you're like, man, I thought I knew all these things. And then God threw me something else, right? Because I think that's kind of God's way of like, let me humble you and show you don't know everything,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the thing is like, I will have these epiphanies each day where it's like, I thought I knew this. I thought I knew that. I thought I was handling this situation well. And then something will happen and I'm like, I can do a whole lot better there. You know what I mean? And it's like I realize there's always fine tuning that needs to be done, and not in a stressful way. That's the other thing is a lot of people talk about like whether it's spiritual growth or self development, and they're like, it's exhausting. Well, it is exhausting, but it's like only exhausting if you allow it to be. Like you do it with joy. Like, hey, I can improve today. I was really shitty at the way I responded to that situation. How can I be better? And that takes consistent work because I find myself still responding to situations in a very shitty manner. And I'm like, yep, that situation has been a Achilles heel for me my whole life. Like, how can I continue to be aware of not responding that way? Right. So there's always work to be done. Always.
Well, yeah, I think it like I would compare it to like when my wife gets stressed out about cleaning the house. I'm like, just do one spot at a time.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like the same thing with your inner work. It's not all going to be done in one day. Like if you're feeling depressed and you go work out and you feel better, don't worry about getting A through Z done in that day.
Exactly.
You go one small step at a time. Give yourself some grace and be like, all right, this is new. It's different, but
Absolutely.
moving forward.
Absolutely. And with that, like you just said, is it's new, is being willing to step into discomfort, right? Again, the human inclination is to go to what's comfy, right? So I'm going to go to what I know. I'm going to go to what's comfortable for me, as opposed to I'm going to step into something new every time I know it's probably going to benefit me, but it's just very uncomfortable because I've never done it. Be willing to go do it anyway. And even if you don't do great at it, you just keep doing it over and over and over, and it's going to add up over time to something, to some beautiful outcome, right? And that's what we have to be willing to do, is be willing to consistently step into discomfort or into unknown situations, and that's where the beauty is. Um, but our human mind, our ego wants to go only toward what we know because we want to be good at everything we do, right? Like I know I can do this and I'm great at this. Oh, that's good. But what about this thing that you've never done that will still lead you to something wonderful, even better than what you can imagine, but it's going to be very uncomfortable because you may not be very good at it, but just do it over and over, right? Do that thing over and over and watch how you will get better at whatever it is you're trying to do. You're not supposed to be a champion at everything like from day one, right? That's what we all want to do. I want to be great at what I do. Day one. Yeah. Well, the greatest athletes weren't the best from the get go, right? It took them years of just continuous practice and work to be a star athlete.
Yeah, man.
They're
The masters have failed thousands of times.
100%. 100%. Yep. That's why they
Actually,
say the creation of the light bulb took him 1,000 failures before he actually created a light bulb. But he just continued on until he figured it out.
yeah, I think I heard either this morning or the other day or something that takes about 10,000 hours
Yeah, the
to
10,000
get good
hour
at
rule.
something.
Yeah, well, they say to be an actual, what, professional
Yeah.
or master at it, it takes about 10,000 hours, is what they roughly say, to actually be a master at something. So that means you just have to continuously keep doing these things to become good at it. And what does that tell you? That goes back to what you said, one small step at a time, right? Just keep taking, that's the Taoist way of thinking, is they say, take one step in that journey. Every day, take one step. Eventually, you'll get there. We just have to get out of the mindset of having a time frame of when we're supposed to be somewhere, because there is no time frame to God.
Yeah, I think that's funny because I had that conversation with someone a couple weeks ago too. And it was like it was kind of basically, if you're new to something and you're working with people who've been here for a while, you might have a natural inclination that you're thinking in your own mind, oh, I want to be caught up. I want to be performing at that level.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, you're not going to be because you haven't
Absolutely.
been doing whatever that thing is for that long. So I think sometimes a lot of people get wrapped up in, oh, I need to be perfect at this right now. Because they're seeking that self-worth from external sources.
Absolutely. Yep. That's a good point because it takes you to everybody's right where they're supposed to be. So, like you say, like I kind of use that as an example of when I train people in groups and I get a new client in that hasn't trained before, right? And they're seeing all the other people in the class just killing the workout. And I always tell them, I'm like, listen, when's the last time you worked out? Is this the first time you've worked out? Even if you used to do this years ago and now you're starting all over, I'm like, you're not here to compare or compete with anyone. You're literally here on your own journey. So eventually, if you keep coming and you're consistent, you'll end up working out just the way they do, to the intensity and to the level that they are, if you consistently show up every time you're supposed to be here, right? So don't compare yourself to anyone else in the room. Remind yourself it's me against me. I'm on my own journey, right? That's why I tell people, don't look at other people, don't look at how they look, don't look at what they're doing. It's not about them. It's just you against you. It's you versus you always. There's no competition with anybody else out there.
And it sounds like a good title.
Yeah.
You versus you.
Yeah. You versus you, man.
That's
That's
so
what we
true,
have.
dude. That's so true. It's just like I said earlier, like you have all these crazy thoughts and then you take action and all those thoughts go away. It's kind of the same thing with that. Like
Hmm.
everything you worried about meant nothing.
Absolutely.
Everything. I
Yep.
can't tell you the amount of times it's happened to me where I've worried so much and then I do the thing that I'm worried about and I'm like, oh, this is not, because I think a lot of times we're our own worst critics.
Hmm.
So we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves. And then when we don't meet those, or when they don't happen, hopefully you'll have the awareness to be like, oh, well, now I'm getting it. No, I'm new, but I did okay. You know?
Well, the point behind that is being unattached to the outcome, right? Like you just said, the thing that you were afraid of doing, you stepped into and did it. It doesn't matter what the outcome of it is. It's I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to give my all, and whatever the outcome is, it's supposed to be. And if it's something that you really want to do, then just keep doing it. If you didn't get the outcome you wanted, come at it from a different angle and keep doing it, right? It's just you'll never regret the thing you tried and didn't go the way you wanted to. You'll regret the thing that you feel like you should have done and you never did, right? That's the big picture you hear from a lot of older people when they're like at the end of their journey and they're like, man, there was these 10 things I really wanted to do. I was very fearful of doing them because I didn't know if it would work out. Well, what if you just did it and it didn't end up the way you wanted? No big deal. At least you knew you did it. Cool, I tried, right? So that's why doing things without fear and just like stepping out into your to the discomfort, stepping into your discomfort and being like, hey, I'm not worried about the outcome. Let's just see what happens. It could have some great things. And at the end of the day, even if you try something and it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, you still learn something.
Well, that's kind of what we talked about yesterday with um like the key is to focus on the journey itself, like you said, not the outcome. Like so many people will be it'll be like right before the breakthrough, they'll quit
Exactly.
because they're focusing on the outcome and not the journey.
Exactly. Because they're not getting the outcome they want. The message I keep hearing is who do you become on that journey, right? Who are you becoming? It's not about how it ends up. It's not about how it turns out. It's about who you become along that way. So if you're growing and expanding who you are and becoming a better version of yourself, job is done. You did what you're supposed to do, right?
And it's especially, well, I mean, in all those things, but spiritually, it's a lifelong thing. Like we've talked about in previous episodes, it's not going to be like, oh, I meditated and prayed yesterday. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah,
Or, oh, I went through this level of shadow work. And then God's like, hey, here's this right behind right under the carpet there. Go ahead and work on that. And you're like, where did this come from? So it's a
it
constant journey.
it is. Growth is a never-ending journey, right? And you can apply that to like you just said. You're never going to meditate enough to be like, I don't need to meditate anymore.
Yeah.
You're never gonna move your body enough to be like, now my body will stay this way. It won't if you don't maintain it, right? Your mental health, if you just meditate to a certain point and be like, oh, I'm good enough, it'll decline again. So you have to continue on with these things throughout the entire journey.
Take it one day at a time.
That's it. What did we talk about? All you have is the present moment. So each day, make decisions that are going to add up to the betterment of your life. Over time, you're going to see a great life.
And I think that, we talk about surrender. Like learn to surrender to the process itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Very
Like
good point.
like if you're washing dishes, this is a dumb example, but if you're washing dishes and there's still a little bit of dirt on it, don't stress out. You know,
Hmm.
if it's your first time, it's not going to be perfect.
Absolutely.
So the journey is taking that one step forward every day. Every day is a new chance to do something different.
Hmm. Yep.
But a lot of the times we're like, oh, it's Monday, or kind of like what Wayne Dyer said about being sick when he's like, oh, Monday I have a itch in my throat. By Friday I'll have to call out of work because I'm sick.
Yeah.
Right. So you're already focusing on an outcome that doesn't even exist yet.
Exactly. And the way you can turn that around is like, okay, you wake up Monday, you have an itch in your throat. Well, guess what? I'm healthy. By tomorrow, I'm going to be completely healthy. Right. So that's replacing your thoughts. That's replacing the energy that you're putting out there. Again, like we talked about, like your subconscious mind is taking in everything you're thinking and saying on a regular basis. Anything in repetition is going to bring itself to fruition. So why not just repeat the good things that you want to have happen? If you're trying to heal a disease process, why not constantly speak out, I'm healthy, I'm healed, I'm healthy, I'm healed, and do that over and over and believe it and feel it that you're already healthy and healed, even if your body feels like shit. guess what's going to happen? Your body's going to end up listening, and your subconscious mind's going to take that in, and then your body's going to listen and be like, let me kick in all the natural medicines I have inside of me to heal this situation,
Yeah.
right? But that goes back to emotion. Most people will be like, my body feels really shitty, I feel really down, and then they feed that sickness instead of feeding the healing. What do you want to feed? Do you want to feed the life you want, or do you want to feed the life you don't want? You're going to get either. So you may as well just feed the life you want and do it consistently and don't worry about when it's going to happen.
Well said. Well said.
Yes, sir.
Well, any closing thoughts, sir?
I think just like I said, I just recommend to everyone to start daily waking up, being grateful for the fact that you woke up, that you have a new day. Think about what you can do in that day that's going to move you forward, even in the smallest amount of positivity, like is positive thinking, positive movement. Just start picking one positive action each day that you can do and stick with it, right? Create new habits that you know are moving you forward and stick with it. Don't worry about the outcomes. Don't worry about when you're going to get to the life you want. Know that if you're taking those small steps, God's doing all the heavy lifting. So everything around you is forming itself to the life you want because you are becoming a better version each day. So take it one day at a time, make a good decision or many small good decisions that day and stick with that every single day. And give yourself applause for sticking to those positive habits, even if you don't see any major outcome from it. Be be happy with yourself and give yourself that applause, like, hey, but I've now worked out for a week. I've now meditated for a month. Things are getting better. I know they are. I don't see it yet, but it's coming.
Well said. Sound advice. One day at a time, people.
One day at a time. We love
All
you
right.
guys. We love sharing with you guys. Feel free to comment, ask questions, reach out.
Yeah, if you have something that maybe you have some input, feel free to comment down. If you started a new habit, started a different journey, or if you feel like you're stuck and you have a topic that you want us to cover in the next episode, just tell us what you want to hear.
Absolutely. Like you just said, let us know. Let us know in the comments. Like if you've started a new habit and you've been doing it, and let us know that you're being consistent, and let us know that tell us the small outcomes you're receiving from it. Like I said, in the meditation, are you noticing yourself become more peaceful and less reactive? It's working. Keep going.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one, peeps.
Love you guys.